So we now move on to Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. Not the best boss showing in the Kingdom Hearts game.
No.
Not at all. It's got some stinkers. Kingdom Hearts DDD is a unique game in the series. Besides like Melody Memories, but that barely even counts.
Yeah, it feels sort of in line with BBS, just with like how the Unversed, I feel like, are kind of similar to the Dream Eaters in the sense that it's like, hey, here's a weird new enemy just for this game.
Yeah, but like BBV bosses were mostly good.
Yeah, and they also, I don't think there was a lot of like Unversed boss. Like it feels like the Dream Drop bosses are mostly Dream Eaters.
Yeah, well, like BBS had like half Disney bosses and half Unversed bosses, like the rest of the series. This is just straight, I think, 99% Unversed bosses.
Yeah, at least until you get to the end.
Yeah, well, the end does have some bangers, but we gotta wade through the shit to get through to the good stuff. So we can start. We can start with this motherfucker, Haka Monkey.
Haka Monkey.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the other thing with him and with a lot of these guys is they have like a different way you have to go about them when you're Sora or Riku.
Somewhat, yeah.
A little bit at least. He kind of is like the guard armor of this game.
Yeah, I noticed that, especially in the Riku fight where he like breaks apart. The Sora fight, he's all hands. He just like boxes and does a stage transition and sits. So he's like okay for like where he is.
Yeah, he's pretty basic, but yeah, he's like the guard armor of this. He's like here's what a Dream Eater boss looks like, you know. Here you go. Mess around with that a little bit. Test out your flow motion and the other little abilities that are unique to this game, and kind of, you know, nothing too crazy, but you know, have some fun with it.
I say that's the main weakness of the DDD bosses is like they want you to use flow motion, even though it like kind of kills the flow of battle. Because it's not like in Kingdom Hearts 3 you just bounce around once to get a good hit in. It's like you like move around and stuff, and a lot of them don't incorporate it really that well, especially like in the earlier fights. Because the later fights they just damn near forget about it. They're like, this sucks. These are serious bosses. No more running around shit. But for the bosses coming up, I say he's the most tolerable.
I think he's one of the more like standard ones. Like,
yeah,
he could kind of fit in a different Kingdom Hearts game just in terms of his vibe and how he plays.
Yeah.
So I think that like helps him out. But yeah, they do generally, I think, try to use the flow motion, or want you to use the flow motion, but it's kind of awkward sometimes.
Yeah, I say we put him in C.
Nothing too like bad about him. I don't really dread.
No, he's just mid, and like the level itself is cool. So he's like an okay ending to that level. So here's a motherfucker that's earned my wrath. When we did the world tier list, I put La Cloche de Clock whatever in F because of the wasted potential, and this motherfucker is the main reason because we did not get a fucking Frollo boss fight.
That's true.
We fought this stupid fucking thing.
Well, he gets like thrown off the thing still.
I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I guess Sora can kill or something.
Sora kills people. He kills nobodies.
Yeah.
And Frollo is the biggest nobody of them all.
Yeah.
So yeah, this dude sucks. You fight him in the ground as Sora, and on Notre Dame as Riku. He does the same thing both times, and it's not even that interesting.
Oh yeah, doesn't he like fly around and he's like a pain in the ass to like get a hold of him?
Not as bad as some other flying bosses, but like generally he's not that fun.
Yeah, no, he's not. I think he does a lot. Like, I don't know if he does a lot of damage, but I think it feels like he does because this is an early world.
Yeah.
So if you're not quite there yet, then he can kind of like one-shot you, and then it's like, damn.
Yeah, and I think they want to use flow motion because of his like height, but like I think that barely takes into account the fight at all, in my opinion.
Also, I think if I remember correctly, I think that's one where if you jump off the building, you like fly a little bit. I think.
I know you can climb. I know you can climb the building with flow motion, which is pretty much easier than going inside and going up. I don't think you fly. No, you're right. No, you're right because the lava creates an updraft, so you kind of float.
Yeah.
That's Riku.
You kind of float.
That's Riku. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I feel like he's also in like a C. Like, he's not bad. I don't think he's worse than the other guy.
Sure. I'll put my saltiness aside and say, yeah, he's pretty in the middle of the road too. So I'll put him in C.
I don't know. Maybe if I went back and played it right now, I'd have a stronger opinion of him.
DDD is like the last game I played of the series, so I barely have any recollection of like most of these bosses. But that's what YouTube boss fights are for.
I think this is my last platinum.
It was like my third, I think, because 2.8 came out, and I'm like, well, I gotta platinum these games. Yeah, I think 3 was my last one before I did Million Memories. Now I have all of them because I'm awesome and a real fan. You don't have all the trophies, right? No, you're missing a important figure.
I'm missing about 3.
You mean all the pro codes?
3 or 4. Yeah.
Pro codes and Mr. Yozora.
Yeah, we'll get to him later. And so will I.
All right, here's fucking Klobster bullshit.
Oh god.
You put him in a bubble and you kind of fuck around with him. Kind of lame.
Yeah, he's in like Monstro, right?
He's in Monstro for Riku. In Stories, he's at the end of what's that fucking amusement park called? Jackass World.
Prankster's Paradise.
Prankster's Paradise, yeah, Jackass World, whatever. So you put him in a bubble. You fight. He's in a fucking ice thing. Either F or don't remember.
Yeah, I don't like him. I remember his Monstro one more. I think.
Yeah, I do too.
Where he's like going up, like
flipping
around the thing. That's annoying. Yeah. And I hate it.
But it's something.
It's something.
Rather than just bubble.
Yeah, I don't remember the bubble thing very much.
So how about F for bubble, D for Monstro?
We can do that. I'm cool with that.
At least it's something unique. Okay, Rizzler. The Rizzler.
I kind of remember him being, like, kind of hard.
He does the same thing Monstro Crab does. He turns a area upside down.
Oh, yes, he does.
He's an okay, like, human-sized boss fight. We don't get a lot of those in the series that aren't, like, mega powerful. He kind of just, like, throws hands and discs.
I feel like I had to, like, spam something to beat him.
Probably Balloon, like everything else.
I think it was, like, Balloon. I think it was the mines, too.
Oh, yeah, because they'll walk.
I think it was, like, those, yeah. He kind of, that just makes me think of, like, Super Boss type stuff. Like, I know he's not that, and he's not really even close to being that, but just that kind of vibe of, like, okay, this guy's annoying. I need to throw everything at him and get this done with.
Yeah, I don't think he's literally not hard. I think he's a good mid-game challenge, and he looks cool. I put him in B to be nice.
Yeah, we can do that.
Because I think he's my favorite, like, pre-end game boss fight the whole game. No, second favorite, but we'll get to that. Third favorite, we'll get to that. He's fucking Comantus. This one sucks. It's just another fucking dream nightmare fight. It's lame. I mean, there's 2 phases. One where you're on the motorbike, in another phase where you fight him like one-on-one, and they're both lame.
Yeah, I don't remember liking him very much.
F tier.
All in the trash.
Okay, yeah, here's a fucking fun boss fight. It's Pete and the Beagle Boys.
In the little theater area.
Yeah, this fight's not like awesome, but it's at least like kind of fun and charming. Where you're fighting the Beagle Boys, and you gotta and you use the link to shoot him out of a cannon to like get rid of him. And the last fight is Pete. Always have a Pete fight. There's no Pete fight below C, so we fuck with Pete.
They almost feel like in like the next evolution of like a lock, stock, and barrel fight.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a couple of guys just chaotically running around. You got to kind of catch up to them and
round them up,
and they're kind of not like the main issue, but because there's a couple of them, they kind of were like more annoying to deal with. It adds a nice like change of pace for all the Dream Eater bosses that are just these big weird like
creatures. Yeah, you're right. It does it's kind of like Rizzler, to where I'm not calling him Rinsler, I'm calling him Rizzler. Just so you know. It kind of breaks that flow of like giant monster boss and like brings it down to like a lower level. Where again, it's not hard, but it's just a lot more entertaining.
Yeah, it's just a different like vibe to it. Yeah, I think some of those other like Dream Eater bosses kind of get lost in the shuffle because they're so similar in like size and design
and colors
and color and what some of them with what they do, to where it's like, and none of it's like great. So they all, because they're so similar, it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's why a lot of games like split between the enemy bosses and like the Disney bosses. Like in Kingdom Hearts 1, you had Guard Armor, but you had Cerberus. Kingdom Hearts 2, you had Shan Yu, but you also had Twilight Thorn or whatever. And 3 does the same thing. DDD, it kind of shifts towards the enemy of the game kind of boss, and are also kind of generic that you can't really say anything. I could barely say anything about the Nightmare bosses, but that actual like Disney bosses I can say more on, at least.
Yeah.
So I say you didn't go in B with Rizzler. So here's a perfect example of the dynamic between Disney bosses and Nightmare bosses is this fucking thing. The fucking mole.
Oh, the mole.
The mole.
Oh my god.
Where you just literally just run around. It might attack you at some point, but I don't think it does. You just gotta go and find it around. So while Sora's having the fun boss fight, Riku's doing the fucking cleanup work of this bullshit.
Yeah, again, one that's like more about its gimmick than actually being like that difficult.
Yes.
It's just kind of like, run around and find it.
There are some good gimmick bosses, but this one's a bad gimmick boss. So we can go with F. F or find me or whatever, I don't care. Chernabog, just worse Chernabog from Kingdom Hearts 1. It's literally just a dive. Riku gets the bad bosses, I just realized. Because Sora gets Rizzler, Pete, and Spellikin. But then Riku gets all the good bosses in the end.
Yeah.
I guess it adds up. So yeah, you go in F. Because you're just a worse version of... What we put Chernabog? B. Yeah, that's where it belongs. Okay, here's a Nightmare boss I actually like. Spellikin.
Oh, yeah, Spellikin, yeah.
He incorporates, what is it, flow motion, almost like because he has two, like, parts where you chase him down on the light way and gotta avoid his attacks and the rocks and stuff. But there's also a version where you just throw hands with him, like, one-on-one. And the whole time, fucking Sorcerer's Apprentice is playing, and it's a good, like, background music.
Yeah, I remember that fight being pretty fun. Being on like the rail and having to like dodge his attacks is a kind of an interesting lead in. Again, very different from what all the other fights were doing.
Yeah, instead of just like big blocky colorful monster, he's like he has a unique vibe and design.
And then once you kind of get to him in that kind of like space area with like the rocks or whatever that is, and then you actually get to fight him. He's still like an interesting fight because it feels like a better version of like the mole, because he kind of teleports around still, but he also like does other things.
Yeah, he feels like
challenging.
He engages with you, unlike the mole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's probably the best Dream Eater boss, I think.
Yeah, he for me he's the start of where Dream Distance actually gets good with their bosses.
Yeah.
Because after here, we got some heaters to discuss. Between A and B.
That is tough.
Yeah, I'm looking at everything in A. It's like he belongs in B, but I kind of want to give him the nudge and put him in A to compete with all these hard hitters. But I'm not sure if that's just my bias, because I like the world so much, and he's like the first not shit boss that gives us some relief.
Some of the ones I'm looking at in B, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's better than them. But
the ones
also,
in A.
I don't know if he is better than any of the ones in A.
If you look at B, right, is he better than the best of B? I don't think he's as good as Darkthorn.
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Darkthorn shouldn't be in B, but we already went over that.
Well, the other thing is, I don't think he leaves that much of an impact. Like, he does in the sense that he's like the best Dream Eater boss.
Yeah.
And he's like iconic for this game. But if I sat down and thought about Kingdom Hearts bosses, like, he's so far down the list.
That's
and
true.
I don't think he's that important to like the plot of the game or like anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
it's not like plot relevance matters because we have like fucking Hydra and A. But yeah, a lot of the plot important bosses are generally the better ones.
Well, but also the Hydra's like iconic for
True.
like to get him on the Hydra's back and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, like Twilight Thorn, or like, is the Spellikin a better fight than Twilight Thorn? Probably. He's got more going on. But like the Twilight Thorn is the Twilight Thorn, like, or like Axel. Like, I think all those guys in A are like pretty like iconic fights, even if they're not necessarily better. They're like more like that's what you like think about when you think about those games.
That's a good point. Yeah, I guess iconicness does matter, and like when it comes to something so like iffy, yeah, I think we gotta give iconicness. And so he's a high B. He's like
yeah, he's definitely high B.
He's like near the top of B. So we'll put a respect on his name. Anyway, so yeah, here's Xemnas for Sora's version. Worst version of Cage 2 Xemnas, because past Cage 2 Xemnas kind of sucks, but
yeah.
he throws buildings at you, which is fun. I like that move where he kind of blocks you in like a square of shields, and you kind of got to bounce out before he like shoots you with lasers. I'm looking at his endgame bosses, and compared to the endgame bosses, he's not all that.
Yeah, he's sort of like a intro to that like run of this game.
Yeah, it's like it's when it starts getting up there, but this Xemnas is just pales so much in comparison to the Cage 2 Xemnas.
It's sort of like the meme of like the boss when you fight him versus the boss when he's on your team.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still fighting him.
Exactly.
But it's kind of that.
And like, there's another version that I think there's 2 versions that is coming up that are a lot better. So this is like the least good Xemnas, but he's still Xemnas, so I'll put him in C.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Next we have the fucking gatekeeper of the ending of DDD. This motherfucker over here. So this guy is like Mysterious Stranger if he was in a game that lets you do something about Mysterious Stranger instead of just dodging all the time.
Yeah, he does feel more in line with like a post-game boss.
Yeah, he's fast. He's got AoE and like one-hit kill moves almost if you don't have a second chance. A lot of like long range attacks, weirdly, for a boss like this, because he's this move that will literally come at you from the shadows, grab you, drain your health, and release health balls that he can take and heal himself.
Yeah, he throws a lot at you. You really have to keep, like, kind of keep moving around, keep pace.
But this is a boss that uses DDD mechanics well, because you're a lot faster and your movement's a lot like better than BBS, to where you can keep up with a fast boss like this. This is like, again, besides Mysterious Stranger, which I think was done poorly, this is done well. It's like a fast boss you need to keep on your toes with, and I think that's good. That's like interesting at least. I don't think we ever got a boss this fast in the series, even well, except for the secret bosses later. But like besides that, like to keep up with him and to dodge all his attacks and manage to get hits on him is very hard.
Yeah, I think you made a good point about like how it works, like it uses the flow motion and the kind of movement of this game really well. And I think that just kind of sheds even more of a light on some of the other like previously Dream Eater bosses, where it's like they're just big and they move slow, which I think was like not the right move for this game, at least for like most of them to be like that.
Even like Rizzler doesn't move like fast.
Yeah, but because of how fast this guy is, it's like you have to use that like that skill set, you know, that this game like adds to it. It makes you make use of that, and it makes it feel like all the flow motion that you know did up to this point in the game was like worth it.
Yeah,
and like
it's like
that's why I did that.
Have you perfected these mechanics? And here's your test to prove it to get to the end game. So I'll say A tier. I think he deserves it. He's one of the more iconic bosses of this game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say.
If icon status gets you to A, which apparently it does based on what we've done.
Looking at it, it's like
we'll see. We might slip one in there, but we'll see.
There might be, but
okay. So next is DDD Xemnas.
Ansem.
Same person.
Yeah, close enough.
Technically
the same thing.
DDD Ansem, which I think is one of the better Ansem fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say I definitely remember him being noticeably better than the Xemnas fight in this game.
Yes,
because it's like kind of interesting because obviously like Kingdom Hearts 2 Xemnas I think is better than Kingdom Hearts 1 Ansem.
Yes,
just because it's like, you know, the game's better, the mechanics are more advanced, all that. But like, so it's interesting when you get to this game where it's like they're on equal ground because they're both in the same game, and now it's like Ansem feels like noticeably better.
It's just like the scope of this Ansem is a lot more because he covers a whole room in darkness, and he's mostly inside of the Guardian, who's like has had a power up based on dreams or something. I don't know. Again, makes use of the flow motion mechanics really well.
Yeah, I think he also is like a lot quicker and it definitely feels like it definitely feels like they took the Ansem boss from Kingdom Hearts 1 and were like updated it to, the modern game.
Yeah, he's not even like faster. He's just like grander and does a lot more. Because he's like attacking you from all sides, and you got to keep getting to him to crack the shell open.
Yeah, he feels more in line with how much of a challenge he should be, like narratively, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get that.
Because like he's a big deal, and he's a good boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 1, but just because of how that game is, and because it's from like 2002, it's like he's a little bit of like a slower, like, just because that's how that game is.
Yeah.
But with this, because of like how he does so much more, it's like, okay, this is what this guy really is. It like really should be.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the heartless of all heartless should be like that, rather than we have, what is it? We have, so his version in S, where you find him on Destiny Island, is closer because like he's a lot he has a lot more. He's fast. In A, the final version, he just sits there and you gotta do stuff to him and he'll defend himself. But it's not like he's like dashing around. This is like the perfect mix of you get his grandness and his threat.
Yeah, and this kind of feels like a step towards what some of the bosses end up being like in 3. Just
I can see that.
Taking like the old stuff and then reinventing it, and like taking the old characters and making them more do more, making them grander.
Yeah, because of like
kind of
graphics have gotten better, gameplay has changed and stuff.
Yeah, they can push the limits a little bit more.
Between S and A, I know he's not the most iconic part of this game, so like if that's into account, but he is one of the best bosses in my opinion of this game. And like it's not like the precedent is he is between S and A because we have 2 forms, but I think this leans more towards this fight than this fight.
Yeah, I think I agree.
So Ansem, he gets 2 S's. Zenith only has 1.
Yeah, damn.
All right, next is young Xehanort. He's damn close to Anti-Shadow Black in terms of like speed and shit, because it times his shit.
Oh yeah, he does all that time stopping stuff.
Time stop, time whip. He has his fucking desperation move is he has a move to where you gotta do something, and then if you don't do it in time, the whole fight or most of the fight resets.
Oh yes, I remember that. Yeah. I think for you it is you have to do. I don't remember if you have to like hit him or knock him out of it or something.
I'm looking at the fight real quick. Speed bite. Oh, music slaps too. Look how fucking fast he is. He's not okay, but he's not impossible to catch. He just teleports everywhere and like is very reactive. Again, why was he like this in BBS, where it was Secret Boss? This would have been a very fun boss fight. Even ramp up a little bit in terms of challenge. But no, we got multiple man or whatever. Okay, he becomes a clock, and you gotta beat the clock, and then but he keeps trying to stop you. It's kind of like in Kingdom Hearts 2, where Xemnas or takes Sora and he plays Riku, and you gotta get to Sora, but he keeps throwing clones at you. So you gotta beat this clock, and like I don't know how much time you got, and if you don't, the battle resets. Where I think he's at half health.
Yeah,
and this is a pretty cool mechanic. It sounds like it would be bullshit, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just like a new like layer to it, and it makes this character seem really like powerful, which obviously he is. But
yeah,
it's like I think like when you get into like the time stuff, like having a character have time related powers or whatever, I think that's very easy to make that feel like the computer is cheating against you, or whatever. But they do a good job of making it like, I think it hits a really good balance where it's like he feels powerful and it feels like he has a distinct advantage over Riku, because he can manipulate time and he can jump around the arena because of that, and he can slow down time and do all this shit that you have to really be like prepared to do, and you have to like read him in a certain way, because like, if he slows down time and you, don't like block at the right time or something like that, it's like he's coming at you. It's like a change up in like baseball, where it's like it's coming at you at different speeds.
He'll juke you out.
But it's done in a way that like you can still manage it, and it's not like he's like suddenly becomes impossible because of the time stuff. It just feels like another like tool set that he has.
Yeah, and this was a good like basis to where I think a lot of the secret bosses or the data fights in 3 come from, because they're a lot like him in terms of like they're speedy, but they have tells. They're quick, but can be just as quick as long as you know what they're about to do. And some of them have bullshit gimmicks, but they aren't that bullshit. So he's a very good indicator of the series going forward in terms of combat. Like the other ones were good in terms of scope, but he's like, this is what Kingdom Hearts is about to be. It's about to be fast paced. It's about to be almost Souls-like in terms of reading tells and stuff and like memorizing patterns.
Yeah, I think he's very good. I would maybe put him in S.
I think I would put him in S too.
Yeah, I mean, he's so representative of what this game is. He's like the iconic boss of this game, even though he's not like the last boss.
Yeah.
He still is like the way, Kingdom Hearts 1 is Ansem's game and 2 is Xemnas's. This is Younger Xehanort's game.
And 4 and 3 is like Xehanort's, yeah. But like when you say like he's not the final boss, I think people often forget he isn't the final boss.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He like outshines the final boss.
Because the final boss feels almost like a post-game boss.
Or like a secret boss almost.
Yeah, like a secret boss. Like even though he's not, it's kind of what he feels like.
Don't get me wrong, it's cool like mechanic and lore-wise. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like comparatively and like the stakes of what is fight and what happens right before it, because after Young Xehanort, the story kind of dies down, and you almost forget that there's still a problem, which is Sora is still asleep.
Yeah, it feels like that's going to be addressed in the next game.
But it's almost like an afterthought where it's like, oh, Riku saved Sora, I guess. He sucks, so go fight beneath his armor. Which is, again, it's cool. It's really cool lore and mechanic-wise. But it's just, comparatively, it comes from such a downturn that it's almost jarring.
Yeah, it fits. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it just fits in weird. Like, because it almost has the same vibe as, like, how 3 ends with Sora like vanishing, and it's like imagine if like after that cutscene it was like, okay, now you're Riku fighting like Yozora to bring Sora back, and then you just do that and then it's done, and it's like, oh,
that's a perfect
sure.
Comparison.
Because it feels like the same like kind of stakes. It's like, oh, Sora's gone, but in this game it's like, well, we have to fix that so he can be in the next game.
Yeah. And again, he's not bad. He's pretty fun, honestly. Like, especially his environment's really cool, where it's all goopy and stuff. I put him in B.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
It's just like, I don't think we're putting that much into it, but I think the fact that it comes in such a weird place, it's like, kind of leaves like, not a bad taste in your mouth, but it's like, this is weird. So like, you almost don't remember him, because it's like, oh, I beat Young Xehanort, and that's what you remember. I barely remember fighting this guy.
Yeah, it's just a little abrupt.
Alright, now here's the real secret boss. Have you ever fought Julius?
I have fought Julius.
Yeah, the only Disney secret boss. It's weird, because at least in one we got Heartless and Sephiroth, in 2 we got Sephiroth and Lingering Will, 3 we got Yozora.
Yeah, I mean, I guess unless you count the Ice Titan or the Rock Titan in 1.
No.
But
look where they are.
Where are they?
Ice Titan is in
D.
Oh, he's in. I thought he was in F. But Rock Titan's in Don't Remember. So.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. That checks out then, I guess.
But Julius is fun. Like, he is hard because he hits like a truck.
He does.
And he's like kind of fast for how big he is. See, he's a big boss that still keeps you on your toes. But he's not some lumbering freak or he's like a punching bag.
Yeah, he's one that you have to use the flow motion to get the hell away from him.
Yeah.
Because he will wreck your shit.
Yeah. See, flow motion being used to attack things, good. But flow motion to run away? That's what was missing from the earlier bosses.
Yes. Yeah, the fear of God that Julius puts into me.
And he has funny moves, because he does a fucking elbow slam. And like the environment is so like, it's big enough, but it's a big enough arena, because he's a big dude. But it's not like you're like 10 miles away, you gotta run to him. He'll run to you. He wants that smoke.
Yeah, he'll charge at you.
He's also so random too, because you just go there, Sora and Riku go there, he just comes out of the sewer, you beat him, he just runs away, and they're like, what the fuck just happened? And you get the best Keyblade in the game.
Yeah, he's got a lot to deal with. You know, when he like jumps over like the buildings and like jumps out of the arena and then jumps back in and like, yeah, like you said, he moves like really fast and really smoothly for like how big he is, and he's kind of a problem.
He is a problem. In terms of other secret bosses, he's not like the best in terms of like difficulty, because apparently that's what matters to some people, is how hard a secret boss is. not how bullshit it is, like someone in C.
Yeah, he's fun though.
So I say we put him in B.
Yeah, he can go in B.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, he is not. If you put him lower or in the same league as that, I'm not gonna say his name. That motherfucker in C, I would have fought.
Goat.
I would have fought you.
My goat.
Why is he here? Whatever. Moving on. DDD over. We moved on to point 2 with Mirror Aqua, the secret boss version. Have you fought that one?
Yes, I have.
Very, very hard.
Yeah, very, very hard.
She's like young Xehanort on crack.
Yeah, I mean this is like the ultimate like, hey, this is what we're about to do as secret bosses from now on.
This fuck you.
Like this is like the tutorial for Kingdom Hearts 3's data organization.
Yeah, where it's like teleportation, attacks like truck, unblockable attacks, which is like the first time where it's like, oh, why is it glowing red? Why did I block but I still got hit? This is bullshit.
This is the first like I need to write down the order of the move set so I can pause the game and look at it.
This is the first time Kingdom Hearts became Dark Souls or Nier Automata, whatever. It became not different, but like, okay, see, Dream Drop Distance is kind of a good transition into this kind of thing, because at first we had the big lumbering bosses like we're used to in the earlier games, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we get to the more sleek, fast, more powerful bosses in the later game that transitioned us into point 2 and 3. So it's almost like we needed DDD more than just for story reasons, for gameplay reasons as well.
Yeah, it does bridge that gap pretty well. That's a good point.
So Mirror Aqua, I mean, secret boss, yes, but still for a secret boss, I think her main like down point is she's a little too formulaic to where you can get her down to a science to where I think the other secret bosses, like the data fights, there's some in that, but they're not as like, oh, they're doing this, I gotta do this, they're doing this, I gotta do this.
Yeah, she is a little she is a little bit repetitive, and I feel like she doesn't have as wide of like a pattern set as some of those later secret bosses.
Like we said, she's a trial for those secret bosses. She's a blueprint.
She just has fewer like options to go to, so it becomes a little bit easier to get her figured out. The Aqua we play as in that game is also feels more limited, so it kind of bounces it out a little bit.
That's true. I'm floating between A and B. Again, she's fun, but she's not like top tier, oh, I would play this boss over and over again kind of thing. But she's she's not like plain and boring or like generic. I mean, like some of the people in B.
I think B might be all right. There's some good ones in B.
Okay, we're gonna skip a bit. Where right now would you put Dark Aqua? Because she's just a worse version of Secret Boss Aqua. Just like top of your head, we're not talking about it yet. We might change our answer, but your first reaction.
Yeah, probably C. Because I feel like that's like a pretty simple fight.
Yeah, and you have a lot more to do too. Almost
you have a lot more you can do.
Almost like cheating.
Yeah, but it's also like not meant to be that big of a fight.
Yeah, I kind of wish it was though. We'll get to it later.
Yeah, so I think C is probably about where I would go for that.
Okay, so secret boss I can go in B. I mean, you have Julius here, and he's a secret boss, so it's not, and like guard armor or whatever. So not guard armor, Erika's armor. So yeah, that's fair. Like she's like top of B if we ordered it or something.
Yeah.
All right, next is Demon Tide, another kind of blueprint for the scope of bosses in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, this changed the game with what they could do.
Because Mirror Aqua is challenge, but because I mean Demon Tide can be hard on like critical mode, not nothing to fuck with.
No, and it's one because it's just made up of a bunch of shadows. It's one that even as someone who's played all the other games, like when I was going back to Platinum, or not Platinum, but get all the trophies for that game, it was like my instinct was to just like beat the hell out of it because it's like, oh, it's a bunch of shadows, like that's what you do. But it's like you still have to kind of like be patient and wait like some of the other harder bosses because it's like it goes through its stages where it's like you can't really hit it, or like you can, but it's gonna do more damage to you than you'll do doing it. So it's like, yeah, but also just off of like the vibe it brings to the game is like, oh shit, I need to run, and it makes you feel really powerful like fighting it as Aqua because you have to throw a bunch of like heavy magic at it to like stand a chance.
Aqua is powerful at this point.
Yeah.
Even though she's been nerfed a little bit by darkness, but whatever. And like, just like what it does, so like at the beginning, just finding Destiny Islands, it's like just a tide of darkness. But then when it second phase almost, it turns into a tornado, the whole vibe changes to where it's like, oh, this has never happened in Kingdom Hearts game before. The environment's usually the same, but now it's like, oh, we're getting into Unreal 4 engine shit, man. Stuff's happening around us, and the music is just like that fucking rock and roll shit. Bullshit, A Million Memories. That song is so fucking hard. A Million Memories.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'd say A, mostly because I think it's just so fun. But it's my favorite part of that game, even though the game's short. But
yeah, it's definitely it's a lot of fun. It's probably the most fun part of that game, and it's something that after you play that, you're like, oh hell yeah, I hope that's in 3.
Yeah, and it was.
And, like they need to keep, and it was, yeah, and they need to keep bringing that back going forward because it's just like completely revolutionized it.
Dude, how cool would be a tide of dust?
Yeah, that would be pretty.
Or it's like they're like kind of slinking into each other and stuff. It'll be so gross.
Yeah, and also actually, now I'm thinking about it, like I think the challenge of it does a really good job because narratively, like obviously it's not till the end of 3, but like this is the thing that wipes out like all the main heroes.
A not as powerful version, because I had like 100 times as many shadows.
Yeah, that had more.
Yeah, getting towards
just,
that.
like, if this was like super easy to beat, and it was just like a, like cutting through paper, then it would be like, oh, that's what got them. This is tough, and it's a smaller version, but it's just Aqua.
And Mickey.
So then they get and Mickey. Oh, that's true. Yeah, and Mickey is there.
Mickey was
but then,
there.
Oh yeah, how can I forget? This is the whole point of this game is how Mickey lost his shirt. But then obviously it comes back later, much bigger, and after they've been weakened, and it wipes them out. So it's a good like setup for that as well.
Of course.
Because then when that happens in 3, you're like, oh fuck, it's this guy's back.
Yeah, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.